It may heal it in time, and it may not. Right. And that's something that we as parents have to say, listen,
right.
I've done what I could do. I've taken accountability for it. Now it's up to you. Right.
The drama continues. By now, everybody has seen the interview Monique did on Shannon Sharp's club, Shay Shay. On that episode that has garnered over 10 million views already, Monique mentions her relationship or lack thereof relationship with her oldest son.
Your first son.
Yes.
That you're trying to get it. But it robbed you of a lot of things of a mother-son relationship.
It did.
And so you made sure not to make the mistake this time around. What's your relationship like? Is he resentful of that?
We're still very much separated.
Okay.
And it's one of those things where you have to pray to the universe and say, let time do the healing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Right.
That's it. Let time do that healing. It may heal it in time, and it may not. Right. And that's something that we as parents have to say, listen,
right.
I've done what I could do. I've taken accountability for it. Now it's up to you.
Right.
That's like when somebody's saying, Shannon, I want to apologize to you. Now it's up to you.
Whether or not to accept it.
Whether or not to, but once I give it to you, I've done my part. And don't apologize like no punk. I'm just sorry for everything. That gets your of it. No, break it down. Let's go bit by bit so that way we know you understand the offense that you've done.
Well, that conversation that she had on Club Shay Shay triggered her son, Shalon. And he made a TikTok video responding to what his mother had to say about the status of their relationship. Let's check it out.
I am Shalon. I am a stand-up comedian, Monique's oldest son. I guess I felt the need to make this video to just provide some context into this false narrative about her praying to the universe in order to reconcile our relationship or whatever the hell it is. I wrote it all down so that way I don't go all over the place and get emotional or anything like that. So I'm gonna talk like I'm reading a script, but it's just gonna help me kind of stay together. But to address the Club Shay Shay interview that she did where she states that she prays to the universe in regards to reconciling our relationship, as I stated, is odd. My mother and I both know that that is a very false narrative, and I would like to free her of having to continue telling that lie. Faith without work is dead, and neither one of us cares to put forth any effort to reconcile with the other. We are separate, as she put it, because she doesn't care to be my mother any more than I care to be her son. Neither one of us has had the desire to reach out to the other in a very long time, and I don't think that either of us anticipates that feeling ever returning. Speaking with my mother directly, in my experience, will either lead to some odd newfound moment of clarity in regards to how she was as my mother, or she retreats back to daddy to move forward with a conversation. And I'm tired of hearing my mother's truths. Newsflash, I'm not sure if people know, but standing in your truth doesn't make you noble. I'm not sure if people are aware of that. But responding this way, I feel as though it allows me to say my piece uninterrupted. To those wondering, well, why say something now? Call it a form of therapy for me, I suppose. But when her daddy had intentionally stated that they have 3 sons, but his wife is on the internet talking about the 4th son in a video that has millions of views, that rubbed me the wrong way. But anyway, to inform a child that you are not interested in being a mother at a time when that kid is the only kid that has the potential to lead a child to believe that you are not interested in them specifically. But to take it a step further, you also admit, my mother had also admitted to me that she didn't do the best job that she could do, which would also make one begin to question, all of your past decisions and prior emotional interactions. But to be completely honest and fair, those were things that I was willing to get over. Nobody's perfect. We're all human. but my mother showed a clear lack of humility, compassion, and consideration when taking any level of accountability for those things. My mother does a fantastic job of acknowledging a lot of things, but she doesn't take accountability very well, and anything that she may take true accountability for, it's only at her convenience, in my experience. But if I had to guess, though, her interest in being a mother probably started around the time that she married her daddy and had his children. But that interest, obviously seemed one-sided, and as it should have been. By that time, I'm in my late teens, so to some degree, the the neglect becomes easier to hide or validate, I guess you could say. There are now 2 baby boys in the house, that require attention. But still, during that time, however, I still watched her enjoy the love and admiration of total strangers more than my own. To this very day, my mother has never expressed to me when, if ever, she became interested in me as her son. That did lead me down a path of questioning my self-worth and struggling to understand the value of a mother in a child's life. In the interview, she also states that she gave me an apology, but an apology to a son from a mother that consciously showed no interest in him holds no weight. There are still women to this day that my mother will give credit to for being more of a mother to me than she ever could. Her assistant, my cousin, being one of them. Every time, though, that my mother would state that she was right here whenever I was ready, that ideology still blows my mind today, that a person could openly admit to being an uninterested, not put my best foot forward type of parent and be so self-centered that they still express to the kid, you have to come to me when you're ready. You got to come to me for us to make this right. Okay. But I'm not sure what my mother could possibly think that she has shown me in the past or have for me now that's not money, goodness gracious, that would make me want to come to her or whatever those feelings are supposed to be. A mother is supposed to be the first woman that a boy falls in love with. I loved my mother very much, but my mother loved things more than she loved me, and she would validate her love for me by giving me things and would proceed to call me ungrateful or inconsiderate if said things did not have the desired effect. I couldn't imagine what it's like to be her, though, to ask God for what you want, and then he gives you what you need, though, only for you to ignore it and have the audacity to ask God for something else. And I'm glad I don't, I'm glad I didn't do that. And when he told you no, you went to the universe instead. By no means, though, do I want to give off any type of an impression that I am a victim of anything. That's not the case. As you can see, I'm smiling from ear to ear. I'm alive. I'm happy. I'm a dad. I'm healthy, I think. I drink a lot of water. I'm getting over a cold now. I still have my days just like everybody else. And, there were a few things that she did teach me along the way. I did learn how not to love from my mother. I also learned to make sure that I never lose so much of who I am that I have to validate it through another person. And though I feel as though, in hindsight, I think she did it reluctantly, I do appreciate my mother, for showing me what the top of the mountain looks like. You know what I'm saying? It did give me perspective on what hard work and dedication can get you, but I don't want something like that at the cost of giving up something that I created. I don't want it that bad. And speaking of creations, I genuinely, truly, I really did want my mother to have a relationship with my daughter. I even fought through those intrusive thoughts that were, if she wasn't interested in you, what makes you think she's going to be interested in your kid? But it took my mother no time at all to prove that those intrusive thoughts were correct. But what I can say, good for her, the universe did, bless her with 3 other sons. And God willing, I'm sure that all three of them are adults now. So I'm sure that one of them, God willing, if not all three of them, will make her the grandmother that she wants to be. I still look forward, to that moment for her. But overall, when it comes to the boys, though, I am happy that whenever they do hear me talk, sorry, my phone did something weird, but whenever they hear me talk, they don't know what it is. They can't relate to what it is that I'm saying. My experience with with our mother. So my prayer for her and them is that they continue to see her the way that they see her now. I do also want to make sure that I say thank you to my mother for giving me life. Without that moment in time, I wouldn't have had my little one. But outside of that moment, there isn't anything that either of us has to offer the other. In my opinion, it's a waste of God's time and the universe's time for praying for something that you were not willing to put forth any effort to obtain. Putting the work into becoming Monique is more important to my mother than being my mother. And I do not believe that it was never about her being there and waiting for me, but it was supposed to be about me being there and waiting for her. My mother's value had reached such a low point in my life that I no longer found it necessary to either want to wait for her or even go to her. But like I said, man, I'm super grateful that she has the opportunity to do it all over again. I'm happy for her. I hope the Cat Williams tour goes well, but the narrative she prays for us to reconcile is a false narrative. It's not real, and I'd appreciate it if she stopped saying stuff like that.
Wow, he said standing in your truth doesn't make you noble. Sheesh, that's a bar, you heard? He was very articulate, very clear on his feelings in this video. I feel like it was very respectful. It was honest. He wished her well on the tour with Kat, and what he's saying is that his mom put a man before him. Another few takeaways that I got from his video is stop mentioning me in your interviews trying to pretend like we're good when we're not. He expressed to her that he didn't want any money, but he thanked her for showing him what the top looks like. He said that he didn't expect his siblings to understand, and he know that their experience is not the same experience that he had. And then he kind of also threw some shade at her. Did y'all catch when he said that she's praying to the universe in quotation marks, as if at one time she believed in God, but now she doesn't? She prays to the universe. I caught that when he did that. Also, he mentioned that she wants him to make it right with her. Like basically like if you want to make it right, you come to me. I'm not coming to you. I apologize. But it seems like what he's saying is, yes, she apologized, but her behavior didn't change. The best form of apology is changed behavior. So I'm taking it that her actions never changed towards him, and that her husband/daddy is still in the middle of the drama that they have going on. Now, Monique and Sidney did respond to Shalon's video. And as I was editing this video, she also have recently released text messages as of today. Just take a look.
There was Instagram that was put up, or I guess
it was TikTok, baby.
TikTok that was put up by
my son, my oldest son, Shalon. And this is what I want to say to this. There are some people that are saying, oh, you should be ashamed of your mothering skills. You should be ashamed of yourself. This is what I'll say. Let's let it play out. Because the same ones that said to me, I was crazy, I was deranged, we watched it play out. So just like with my son, we'll watch this play out. And I do want to address this though, Shalon. When you say her daddy, then that's when mommy gonna say stop playing, because this has been Uncle Sid your whole life. Uncle Sid knew you before you knew you. So for you to say her 3 sons, yes, you're absolutely right. He has 3 sons. He can't claim you as his son because he's always been Uncle Sid, and he knows your daddy very well.
And love that brother. And the irony of all of this is not what is said, but what's left off.
Yes.
See, you're leaving off the fact that the last time we laid eyes on you, your mother got you everything you needed for the newborn baby about 3 years ago. You're forgetting about how I, from Georgia, am talking you through getting your car after we gave you the half the down payment for it. And you were 31 years of age, 32 years of age at that point. And I'm negotiating the deal with the dealer for you as you sit there. And you have the vehicle you're driving right now because of your mother. These are the things that you're leaving out when you're expressing what you're expressing in reference to your mother. You're not expressing the relationship that you have with your father, where you spoke ill to him, not to mention spoke ill to your mother, but somehow your mother and father and I all have a loving relationship and communicate back and forth because of the love that we have for you. The one thing these individuals, and to the individuals out here that oftentimes speak after they've heard one side of the story, there's an old saying, believe half of what you see and none of what it is that you hear. Please don't take our word for it, but what we will convey is this. Those who are parents and have raised their parents up to being adults.
The children. Raise their children up to being adults.
Right on. Those who are parents that raise their children into adulthood know that there comes a time and a place in which they determine their own decisions, their own path. You can have multiple children that are raised in one house, but they act and they take on different things.
Man, you know what? That response right there, I don't know. Uncle Sid. So wait a minute, you marry Uncle Sid. When I go to call him dad, he denies me because he knew me before I knew me. That's probably the problem right there within itself. All the rest of the kids get to call you dad, but I got to call you uncle. I feel isolated. Also, Monique, your son is talking to you. He don't want to talk to Sidney. Sidney did most of the talking. He wants to talk to you. You need to call your son. The onus is on you. You're the parent. You had him. Kids don't ask to be here. And another thing I hate, when people do something for you, they got to run down a list of everything I did. There's two statements that I can't stand. And that's one, if it wasn't for me. And another one is all I done did for you. Only two people probably can say that to me. I know sometimes some parents will try to overcompensate with material things and do things for their kids to make up for what they feel like they lack as a parent.
And I was crying. My son is so calm. Like, he's the opposite of me. Like, I bought my son a Benz, his brand new Benz. When he went to school, he refused to take it. I was so offended. And he said, no, I don't want that attention. I just do it on my own. So he went and he wanted me to get him just another car. It wasn't no. And his dad goes crack jokes and say, "You supposed to benefit from your mama. Like, you ain't gonna do, you know that." Yeah. No, he ain't went that. So I was crying and said, "I miss." He was like, "Mama, no, I thank you." He was like, "Yeah, you missed a lot, and I used to get mad at you."
Look at her, and she's your mother.
Mostly because she doesn't behave as a mother should.
What does that mean?
Most children gravitate to their mother for love and affection and support and understanding. I don't get that from her.
Did you ever get it?
Not that I can remember. I feel that a lot of my efforts are overlooked because she's Angie Stone and I'm nobody. I feel as though she loves me, but I also feel as though it's a sympathy act at times to say, I love you and buy you stuff does not equal what I actually need.
Which is?
I need time, I need communication, I need things that don't cost money. And every time you buy something, you use that as the denominating piece to say, well, I did this for you. And because I did this for you, you should appreciate me.
And kids really just want emotional support and someone to talk to. Now, I'm not saying that everything the son did is 100% right. I'm sure that he has his faults as well. But this right here, man, this crazy right here. So now the son has made another video replying to what Sidney and Monique had to say. Let's take a listen at what he had to say, and then I'll be back with the rest of the commentary.
All right, so I'm just going to get straight to it. Hi, I'm Shalon. So I find it unique that my video was in response to my mother and not her husband, but yet he still had the most to say, which isn't uncommon. I also find it unfortunate that my mother does not seem to speak on her own. The only two worlds that I know where daddy is used is for children speaking with their fathers and women acknowledging their pimps. Her husband starts off by literally doing the very thing that I said that they would do, which honestly kind of made me feel as though their response was ironic because they validate my original video. Either A, she has some newfound moment of clarity, or B, she retreats back to daddy. In her retreat back to him, though, he does not acknowledge what I did say, but instead begins to create a new narrative of things that I did not say, which negates the effects of a response video. The two of you essentially created a new video rather than actually respond to what was actually said. You also brought up my father. My father, though, is not doing interviews talking about me. In quick regards to the 3 sons comment, under the context in which your husband was speaking, by your rationale, Ma, he should have easily had no problem saying 4 sons, especially since you say he knew me before I knew me. The two of you can sometimes come off as seekers of weak levels of empathy from others while at the same time sidestepping any accountability that one may need to take. To attempt to address what I said to another man while also trying to make your wife victim number 1 has nothing to do with you. My father did not need you to speak for him. You're her daddy, not his. My mother has been speaking on our relationship for years, so to imply that only one side of a story was told when there are several articles and interviews throughout the internet discussing my strained relationship with her, filled with quotes from your wife speaking directly about me while also providing vague context and downplaying the impact of an uninterested mother. I am 33 years old and have had ample opportunity to go to the media and tell some BS story for a BS amount of money, but instead I am on TikTok expressing my feelings for free. If the two of them were paying attention, I literally explained in my first video why I am responding using TikTok. And I should not have to repeat myself. My mother also states there are some people that are saying, oh, you should be ashamed of your mothering skills. You should be ashamed of yourself. This is what I say. Let's let it play out. Because the same ones that were saying, oh, I was crazy, I was deranged, we watched it play out. So just like with my son, we're going to watch this play out. First of all, who the hell is we if it ain't you and I reconciling our relationship? Second of all, it's power in a word. Nobody is playing, but I can understand why you would use that word specifically. As you stated in the Clip Shay Shay interview, you had the mentality of a 15-year-old child. You required a man to raise you, and you were acting like a little girl. These are your words. It doesn't matter what context I have them in. This is how you thought of yourself as a grown adult who was someone's mother. Last time I checked, Monique fans, a 15-year-old grown adult who acts like a child but is in search of their daddy, they don't typically make efficient parents. But hey, I could be wrong. On a more serious note, to sit there and allow your daddy to address my mental health in a weak attempt to pass my response off as a moment is disturbing and insulting to those of us who do have mental health issues. The way I presented myself was no different than my mother and her daddy presented themselves when addressing D.L. Hughley. And her precious sweet babies ate it up. D.L. is wrong because he's so loud. Mo and daddy are right because they're so calm. But I, for some reason, don't get the same energy. To simply try to call me crazy is dismissive and cowardice. Attacking somebody's mental status is a clear sign that you have zero to stand on. Furthermore, what kind of person still has a text message from their wife's son that is over 2 years old, still in their phone, saved just for the purpose of re-showing it to him? What I specifically remember about that message is that at the end of it, you said something along the lines of, if you don't respond, I understand. I could care less about what your message was about, but for you to say in the message, if you don't respond, I understand, why was it then that when you and I did speak after that message was sent, the first question out of your mouth is, hey man, how come you didn't respond to my text message? I found that to be very unique, but I did not need an explanation on how to speak to women or how to listen to women. That was not what that situation was about. My mother showed me how conceited she is in that situation that you were referring to. For a woman to villainize the actions of her son for being a man and a father to his new family simply because she had not heard from him in 2 days, as though her phone was broken and she could not check on me. Because last time I checked, I was a new parent. I didn't get a new house. I didn't go on vacation. I didn't just get a new game system. I had a baby. And in those 2 days that you did not hear from me, I was handling my business as a man and a father. But I'll assume your phone and the phones of those around you were all broken, which I wanted to believe was the reason why you did not respond to a message from your son expressing his concern over some bumps that your grandchild had on her back. You would later make it your business to tell me that you got the message and chose not to respond because her other grandmother is a nurse. Damn the fact that she is also your blood. And shout out to Nana. My baby girl loves her some Nana. The statement about money and then stating, don't let nobody introduce me to you, is not a competent statement to make because it wasn't a complete sentence, nor did the two things correlate with each other. And when did you have the time to introduce yourself to a son that you weren't interested in and didn't do the best job you could do? I'm starting to think that you're not hearing yourself. To address money, you gave me $10,000 for a down payment on a car. Yes. Thank you again. Thank you. My girlfriend and I were already prepared to put our money together and get a car. You and your husband called us one day and stated that y'all were going to give us $5,000 for a down payment. We said, okay. You then called us back a day or two later and stated that you would be giving us $10,000 for a down payment on the car. You and him made the conscious choice to give us that money. We did not ask you for anything, but this is an example of a rich person doing something for you. And because, an example of a rich person doing something for you because they want to do it for you, but because it doesn't have the desired effect that they want it to have, you are inconsiderate and ungrateful. But let's take it a step further. I eventually would uncover that my mother had left me a UTMA worth $45,000. You never brought that account to my attention. You claim it was because you forgot that you even set it up in the first place, which validates my original point. Who forgets that they invested $45,000 into a child that at that time is the only child? When I was homeless and I called you to help me figure out how to access the account, you said, Shalon, I don't even know what you're talking about, and if I did, why do you think I would help you? After finding out from the Georgia Department of Revenue that they had been sending me mail to 3 separate Georgia addresses, all of which I lived at with you at some point or another. For the life of me, I can't grasp how those letters managed to slip by so many people at 3 different locations. I did, however, eventually get access to the money and the brokerage account that you had set up for me with Morgan Stanley. To be fair, what you put together for me was amazing, especially had I let it sit for a year or two, which made it bittersweet that you wouldn't have wanted to help or even educate me on how to manage what I had. My blowing through that money is all on me, and I have to take my accountability for that, and it's a lesson learned. Sidney stated that the last time that him and I spoke, I wanted to call him Dad. The actual truth is that I wanted to call him Pop. Calling you Uncle Sidney, but my mother calls you Daddy and the boys call you Daddy. It was getting a little awkward. And yes, for a very short time, I did feel that way about you. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. Oh, Black Jesus. I do just want to really quickly give a really big thank you to the support that I've received throughout this. I didn't think that was something that was going to happen. I didn't make that video to have a tennis match with my mother. I do not plan on making any more videos. This is it. I've said what I wanted to say. To me, if you're not going to acknowledge, you've already shown me that you don't care enough to acknowledge what I did say. So I definitely don't have the expectation that you're going to acknowledge now what I'm saying. So it is what it is. But once again, I want to say thank you again, man. That day before I posted that original video, I went to sleep with 25 followers that I probably could name all. I could probably name all 25 of those people. I think I have over like 12,000 followers now. That's really cool, man. I really appreciate that. But I just can't say thank you enough. I know I sound like a broken record, but I do appreciate the love. And best of luck to my mother and Sidney. And I hope that the Cat Williams tour is incredible. I really do. But when it comes to me, I am going to enjoy being a dad and being a man and just going through life, man. I don't want to be famous or notorious for being someone's neglected kid. I don't want that to be my story, and I only said what I said just to provide context, not to become anything. But y'all be safe, man. Peace.
There's no rules to parenting. We all know that. Monique was broken as a child herself, so she may not have the bandwidth or the wherewithal to even know how to mend this with her son. As she said in the Club Shay Shay clip, it may not get fixed. And her son have to be okay with that. Sometimes it's just our parents' job to get us here. Sometimes it's just their job to be used as a vessel to get us here. And we'll be okay. We're going to land on our feet. Just because you were dealt a losing hand doesn't mean you can't win in life. And I can relate to that 100%. I don't know, man. This was a tough one right here. This kind of triggered me right here. But anyway, man, get in the comments and let me know what you think about the relationship between Monique and her son and her husband. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.